Good evening. There we go. Good. I could have projected. I'm sorry. I'm in a room full of actors. It's intimidating. My name is Jenelle Riley. I'm the film and TV editor of Backstage. I am so thrilled to welcome you here tonight for this SAG Foundation event with Web Therapy. First of all, I'm going to welcome a man who is the creator, writer, sometimes director on the show, and he also portrays, I can't decide if Jerome is either brilliant or clueless. Please welcome Dan Bucatinsky. Also joining us is an Emmy-winning actress you likely remember from her roles on such brilliant shows as Friends and The Comeback. She is also a creator, writer, producer on the show, and of course stars as the world's worst therapist. Please welcome Fiona Wallice herself, Lisa Kudrow. Just love to hate terrible people. Not saying you're terrible, obviously. You're
I know what you're saying.
Very good at being bad. Congratulations on, really, I can recall very few shows that people always lean over while watching because they're laughing so hard. But because this is a SAG audience, I just wanted to start off by asking, how did you get your SAG cards?
An industrial. Do they still make those? I was back in New York, and there was something called, it was popular to get involved in these sort of industrial films where you would be filmed pretending to be an employee of a company, and, you know, whether it's a sexual harassment video or like this is how the proper way to store the paper and the toner. But it was one of those in New Jersey.
Do you remember what you were teaching people?
I don't. I remember being in a hallway and there being mail, you know, in and now it's a big blur, but it was definitely an industrial, and I was very bad in it.
And for you?
I remember you had to do two things. The first thing, you get Taft-Hartley, and then the second thing, you get your SAG card. So the first thing, and they were really close together, I was really, really lucky, was a movie Sandra Locke directed with Teresa Russell, and I was cut out.
Oh.
So don't look for me in it. And then Cheers guest star.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I just got back from Cheers. Yes.
What?
I just got back from Cheers. I went to the actual bar in Boston.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
It's very depressing because nobody knew who I was.
Jenelle!
Yeah. Who did you play on Cheers? I'm trying to remember.
Emily, playing Emily in Our Town.
Oh, yes, when Woody did Our Town,
yeah,
of course.
I had your color hair. Yeah. Yeah.
You never did an industrial?
Yes, I did. Well, the live ones with the Groundlings.
Oh, yeah,
we did
right.
those.
Oh, making fun of industrials.
Making fun of the people in the corporation.
Oh, okay.
You know, how you like write a song about, you know, Mike Johnson, and everyone's like, she said Mike Johnson. You know, you didn't have to do much to get the laugh.
Yeah, I remember doing one of those. They give you a list of all the
Right.
important people in the company and like what a funny buzzword would be, which means nothing
Right.
to you.
Hey, did you get that quarterly report from Mike Johnson? Yeah.
Oh, so these were live performances for companies?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was something you did on the Groundling stage. I was like, what a terrible show.
Oh, yeah. We did those too.
So before we get to web therapy, I actually, because this is one of several collaborations you guys have done, how did you two first meet?
On Opposite of Sex, this movie that I was in, Don Roos, his like debut as a director.
That was his first film?
That was the first film he directed, yeah. Don Roos directed that film, but he's a writer. He's Dan's husband, so I should let Dan talk about who Don Roos is.
You're doing great.
Thanks. And Dan was also in the movie, and we were in a scene together. And then, you know, after the movie, I knew Don and Dan liked Friends, and I invited them to come every single Friday night to every taping to keep me company in my dressing room.
And we did. We missed a lot of episodes because of that. I mean, now I'll watch the show and I'll be like, I remember hearing this, but I don't ever remember seeing it.
Me too, because I was talking to you guys.
Yeah. Also, we both went to Vassar, so we found
Yeah.
that, we had that in common, and that became something that we,
But we didn't know each other there, because I was a biology major and he was a,
theater geek. So we did.
I didn't realize I was up here with two Vassar people. I went to a state school, so that's why we're separated.
oh, is that why?
Okay.
Okay.
And obviously, you went on to appear in Dawn's other films, Happy Endings being the one that first springs to mind, just because I don't want to give any spoilers, but I love your chemistry with Tom Arnold. And at what point did you realize you guys kind of had the same sensibilities and formed a production company?
It was 2003, 10 years ago. I had done a film that I had written and acted in called All Over the Guy. And Lisa did a fabulous cameo in that movie. And I had produced that and started writing for television. And about a year later, I was writing pilots. And Lisa, I get whether you were approached or not, I mean, you approached me about maybe starting a company together.
Yeah, because I knew that Friends would probably be winding down soon, and that I wanted to have a production company, and not just like a vanity deal where, you know, they give to actors and you don't actually do it. I knew that I wanted to be involved in the next TV show that I did, and I wanted to work with not a development person, because most people get a like development person. And so I knew I wanted to work with an actor, writer, who's been through the whole process of developing for networks and knowing, you know, how that goes and that whole deal. And I'm going to pat myself on the back, as if Dan's not here. But that was a really, really smart move, because it's been really fun. Yeah.
Likewise, thank you. Little do you know, it was the dumbest move you ever made. No.
Our agents tried to talk us out of it.
Oh, yeah,
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Both of
yeah.
us had agents who were like, you don't need to hitch your wagon to some television actress. And they would tell
you're
her,
writing
like,
2 pilots a year. You don't need her. And then I would hear, like, get a development person if you want to develop things. And it's like, no, I want to work with someone who has the same sensibility as I do, and he does. And he's also, a real writer. And he produced his movie. He knows how to look at a budget and produce. I mean, Dan can do and does everything. So
I hear you've got great catering skills on the side. Yeah. Great
Minus
craft
that,
services.
I
yes.
make good gluten-free pancakes, so if anyone's interested. No, but it was true. It was helped that we were friends, and we have been for 10 years, and I think that's only fueled our creative collaboration. Lisa's a genius as an actress and as a writer, and
thank you.
I found it inspiring all the time to talk about ideas and to talk about story and to listen. And we both came from an improv background, and oftentimes we would improvise. Or I remember when you were talking about the character that you came up with, of Valerie Cherish in at the Groundlings, and it wasn't Valerie Cherish, but it was of that character, and just watching you, embody characters and talk through the ways in which scenes would connect, and then what's funny. And I don't know, I think Lisa's got a very, very specific point of view, and it's only helped me not only as a writer but as an actor. And when we were developed with other writers, it was very helpful when we were reading other people's material and pitching that kind of, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.
No, it was
We
very
had
hard
fun.
developing shows with writers that the studio would suggest, because you start off, you have a deal with the studio, and you're required to pitch ideas, and hopefully you sell the ideas. You still don't make any money until you shoot the pilot, and not many pilots get shot. I know it feels like 500,000 of them get shot every year. None of them get picked up, but it wasn't fun. There was nothing fun about it, because the notes, it's so hard to communicate.
And we shot several pilots
Creative
with
things.
great actors, and it was enormous amounts of work, and they didn't move on to series, and it started to feel like I'm not sure why we're doing this. We're both creative, and
But
Lisa,
it was everything that I set out to do, which was I want to learn what this process is. So I learned what the process is and didn't do it.
until you collaborated with, then Lisa got together with Michael Patrick King, and the two of them together as writers cooked up the script, the story, the concept, the Bible for the comeback. And we as companies, Michael's and ours, produced that show for HBO. And it suddenly, I don't know, we both felt like, oh, this is what this is for. If we're doing it for us, if we're doing what we really love or cooking it up as a passion of ours, either as a vehicle for one of us or one of us as the writers or both, it felt different. It felt like, oh, this is why we, in a way, the first couple of years of our company were the training grounds for making content that we actually love and are passionate about and are vehicles.
The comeback was such a fantastic show. And in fact, I think, yeah. And I think TV Guide just named it like one of the 100 best, no, it was Entertainment Weekly, named it one of the 100 best comedies of all time.
Yeah,
you know,
how
with
about
only
that?
one season.
I know, my God.
Fantastic.
That's good.
Was it heartbreaking when you didn't come back for a second season?
Yes.
Or are you,
Yeah.
okay.
It was heartbreaking. You nailed it. Good job.
Was was there was it fun to play such, you know, people call Valerie Cherish unlikable. I actually really kind of like her. But I think compared to Phoebe from Friends, it was jarring for some people to see someone
That
like
might have
Valerie.
been one problem.
Yeah.
You know, Friends and Michael Patrick King had done Sex and the City, and I think everyone was expecting some kind of really fun sort of like romp something. And we knew we were doing something completely different, but we couldn't help it because that's what it was. And then, you know, the other thing was, well, we're on HBO, and HBO lets things stay on. So it'll click for them after the first season. I wasn't expecting anything until some time in the second season, because that's how things go at HBO.
Mm-hmm.
And then HBO, you know, decided not to be HBO that year.
I sort of feel like Valerie is maybe a cousin to Fiona, in that, you know, she can be.
If that sometimes I sound like her.
Yeah, exactly. And kind of bear resemblance too. Do you sort of enjoy taking, you know, your very likable persona and turning it on its head with these characters?
Yeah, I mean, to me, Valerie is, but there's something really, I mean, as misguided as she is, you know, her priorities are way off, and what she's looking for is so stupid and superficial, but, you know, she's a decent human being. Mm-hmm. And I think I descended, you know, like 100 levels beneath Valerie for Fiona Wallice, who is not a decent human being.
Terrible.
She's just not.
There were some very sweet things about Valerie. Her relationship with her husband was like very genuine, but there aren't any redeeming qualities in Fiona, are there?
Fiona?
Well,
No.
no. I think we have a moment later on where she sort of misses Jerome.
Aww.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you blink, you'll miss it. It's it's there. It's there, and I think that with Fiona, it takes a lot more. And this is what's so fun about watching somebody who speaks so confidently, you know, her truth, which is so unlikable, but she's so confident about it, and so smart and well spoken. You kind of can't believe she's saying what she's saying. You can't believe it, and she's saying it eloquently and beautifully, and it comes from a place of such like
Pure conviction.
pure conviction.
She's selling it.
You're like, oh, maybe she's kind of. Is she right? No. She's saying the most horrible thing ever.
I hear so many actors who say that no matter who you play, you have to find something to love about them. You have to believe that you're the hero, even if you're playing Hitler. Do you feel that way about Fiona? Are there things you love about her?
Well, yeah, I mean, you have to get into the mindset of, well, here is why I'm right.
Yeah.
You know. So otherwise you can't sell it, I think.
So how did the show begin? Were you guys fans of web series back in 2008 when you created this? Who had the idea?
No. And I think it started in in 2007, we had been asked a lot by our agents, so do you want to do web series? And we said, no, not really, because they were mostly just pilots that didn't go, you know, that were given a shot. Like, well, let's see if, you know, it collects speed on the internet. You know, you chop it up into 5-minute segments and, you know, 4 of those, and that's a web series. And we didn't really want to do that, but, you know, whenever I say no, like that, that's, you know, not a reasonable, rational response, which means some part of my brain is still working on it. And And I just thought, I mean, that's just ridiculous. A web series. Of course I'm not going to do a web, we don't want to do a web series. To do what? I mean, what would that be, you know, on the internet, so it has to be short, you know, and then you should make fun of the internet if you're going to be on, you know, have it be on the internet, about the internet, you know, and, you know, people are at their offices, they're doing tasks now on the internet, they're going shopping, they're doing so many things. How funny would it be if they're doing things they shouldn't be doing, like therapy is the worst idea. You don't do that at work, like for 3 minutes at a time. That's the worst idea. Oh my God, that's hilarious. And I told Dan and Don.
And the timing was great because we got a phone call really out of the blue, almost.
No, but like a year later.
Was it a year later?
Yeah, we were not shopping this
No.
around. It was just an idea.
Right.
Like, that's a funny idea, right? Yeah, it is. All right. Anyway, what do you want to order for lunch?
Right.
I mean, it was.
Right. It was
You know.
it was time after that a call came in from a company that was starting. Lexus owned this, was creating this broadband site online that they wanted to be like the internet HBO, like a place for content. And they were like, we love Lisa and her sensibilities, or anything that she would want to do. We would support whatever you wanted to do. Well, how often do you hear that?
Yeah. What do you want to do? And we knew that meeting was coming up, so we sat down and went, what would it be though, really? And, you know, so then we had to think about it a little more. So we had something to pitch. And we went in there with the, you know, just the attitude of this is what we want to do. But that's it. So we're fine if you don't want to do it. You don't have to do it, because we don't have to do it. You know, and they said, oh, they tried to pitch us something else about therapy, and we went, nah, we would do that. And no, you can do that other thing with other people, though, of course. You know, and they went, no, we'll do that. We'll do your thing. It's like, great.
Yeah.
So,
It was a great opportunity for, you know, Don is a screenwriter and a director, and Lisa is a writer and an actress, and I'm a writer and an actor. And for the three of us who have always been working under somebody else's control and at the, you know, as employees of studios, and they're usually the owners of the content, and you have to take a lot of notes, and you have to sort of turn things into something that is what they call palatable, like baby food. It was very exciting to think that we would have creative control, and we would get to make what we want and own it.
Own the whole thing, which doesn't happen anymore. So we still own it, which just means people who have money want nothing to do with us because we own it.
Right.
Do you think that kind of, I don't want to say blasé attitude, but, you know, very confident and set in what you wanted, like really helped? Because it almost sounds like an audition. And I've always been told that when you go into an audition, you can't let them know how badly you want it.
That's true, but I did feel like we had some leverage, because I think they did want me on El Studio, to be honest. I think they did want me on El Studio, but they would try to get me to do their idea first. But I didn't want to. I didn't feel like I needed to. I'm a pleaser, I mean, make no mistakes. But, you know, we didn't feel desperate enough.
It's true, though.
To
I mean,
do that.
what you're saying is true, and it is very hard to act like you don't care when you really do care.
But we really didn't care.
We really didn't care. And I will say about auditions as well, the goal is to really not care. Not to act like you don't care, but to really not care. And when you really don't, it works to your advantage.
Oh, you're more relaxed.
Yeah, you just don't care. Now, it's hard to imagine, because in this business, stakes are very high and opportunities are slim, and believe me, you know, you often really want it, whatever it is. But in this case, it wasn't like we didn't want to do it. We were excited about the prospect of doing it, but it wasn't like this burning desire. So we did have kind of a swagger to us, and I think they were open to the idea of Lisa doing something. And what was smart about them at that time was, let's let her do something she's passionate about, because otherwise it's a no-win situation. And those passion projects tend to be the ones that wind up having legs.
Yeah, I mean, that's how the comeback felt also, doing that with Michael and I. You know, we had this idea, and they didn't have to do it if they didn't want to, but this is what we were going to do. So it wasn't like, well, if you don't like that, what else can we offer? We couldn't do that. We just had, you know, that one thing that we were offering.
And how did the scripts work? I mean, is it just an outline?
For web therapy?
Yeah, is everything completely improvised?
It is. Everything's completely improvised, except that we spend a lot of time. Don is really good at story, really good at organizing a character into beats that have an arc, and the screenwriter and him wouldn't allow us to just sort of wing it. But over the seasons, we have evolved our system of doing it. In the beginning, we had just tent poles, a few little, like, we'll start here, we'll hit a beat around here, and then we'll hit this point. And we went in and we did it, and poor Jane Lynch, we tried to take, and it was like, all right, let's and we would cut and all meet in another room with a dry erase board and be like, all right, we don't have enough story here. So let's try to come up with, and we would do it on the fly, and we would come up with more. And as the seasons progressed, we would outline more and more. We would sort of figure out each character and like what the beats would be. But once we're shooting with the actor, we're improvising around that structure.
Mm-hmm.
How does it work? Because you've had actors with, I mean, varying levels of improv experience. Who's really surprised you?
Who surprised us? Who surprised us?
I can't say Meryl Streep surprised us because who would be surprised that she
Right.
was amazing? However, I was oddly blown away by the improv ability. I mean, she's brilliant with the script, but
And
like
fearless.
fearless.
She's
She came in
that's
with
why.
a wig and ideas and this
Yeah,
character
she
and
came in done.
whispering to the electrician about some idea she had, and then you saw later on how she used that knowledge she got from the electrician who was working on the shoot with us to make this point. She really thought it through, and I was blown away by her. And Lily Tomlin shows
Oh,
up,
wow.
with props and a crew and puppets and makeup, and boy, talk about bringing it. I mean, she's amazing. Minnie Driver, I have to say everybody surprised me
Yeah.
in different ways.
Yeah.
Sarah Gilbert this season,
Oh my God.
so soft-spoken,
Yeah.
so deadpan in
Those are
life,
great.
and she is astounding. She's
Yeah.
her. There's some great improvising. When her episodes come up this season, you just watch her and you can see she is listening.
She's really listening.
Really
Nothing
listening.
doesn't register on her face that Fiona says that should be, grimaced at, It's there.
And Conan played himself. I think he's the only one who played himself over
He
the
was-
course of the
yeah.
seasons, and improvised beautifully in the version of himself that was, going to Fiona
That
Wallice.
was really fun.
Really
Yeah, that was really fun. But not surprised because I, from the groundlings and taking groundling classes and teaching improvisation, I do completely, but beyond belief, I know that any actor can improvise because you have to. You do. Anyway, the first time you pick up a script and you make a choice, everyone's done some cold reading or some, that's improvisation. It's listening and responding, and that's basically what we all are trained to do. So, everyone can do it. And people who are nervous, we know they don't need to be nervous, and after the first take, they're comfortable and they feel fine.
And do you pitch ideas to people, or do people bring ideas to you, or a combination of both?
We come up with the ideas, and then they tweak them, and then it's usually that's the best outcome. When that person gets involved, or they want to meet, or let's talk on the phone about this, and they tweak it a little, and almost everybody has done that, which blows me away that, I don't, whenever I've gotten a role in anything, I don't, and they want to meet to talk, and I'm like, I don't know what to say, it's good, and I'm like, oh, is that what people do? Oh, that's what stars do? Okay, so okay, got it.
But with this, a lot of people get an opportunity. We shoot in half of a weekend day, like half of a Saturday. So this is an opportunity for someone to play a character that they normally wouldn't play, and they usually have seen the show. At least after we've started, we had people who were fans of the show and loved the idea of working with Lisa, and it becomes like this exciting project, and they want to sit down and talk about like what they were thinking, and we were talking about what we were thinking, and then we come up with ideas around what we are all thinking, so to make
Yeah.
it better. It usually does.
It does.
Has anyone ever hesitated at an idea you've pitched them, or?
Yeah, we've had people say, I'm not going to do that. But do you have
Yeah.
anything else?
I
I'm
think
like,
Meg
yes,
Ro-
we do. We'll call you back after we think of it.
We have one just. Well, I'm breaking up. Oh.
Yeah.
No, I think Meg Ryan was pitched one idea this season, and then she wound up playing a hoarder, which was an idea that had been something that somebody had to play a hoarder at some
so
point,
good.
and she's so unbelievably
She's so
good.
good. We had this hoarder, and she said, I think It would be more fun if she's like a happy person, though. It's like, oh, fantastic,
Brilliant.
like a happy hoarder, but she doesn't acknowledge that she's a hoarder. It's like, yes! So she says things like, well, I'm an archivist, and,
I'm not a
She was
hoarder. I'm just
fantastic.
indoorsy.
Yeah, I'm indoorsy.
She's
I'm
just really
indoorsy,
chipper
really
and-
excited about what she does, and I did this, for Kip, and I did this for you. And she also had the idea of wearing like little
school
girl
uniform.
school uniform type clothes, and she was so fantastic.
Yeah.
You could
Oh my
pitch that
God.
as a movie.
What?
You could have a million spin-offs from this show, I think.
Yeah.
Each character,
Okay,
yeah.
we could.
No, even Minnie. We were saying like Minnie Driver last season. We told her she was going to be playing an actress, and she winds up finding the screenplay version.
She finds the galleys.
The galleys of her book.
The discarded galleys that, Rosie O'Donnell's publishing character left in the seat of
in
the
front of
plane, in the seat in front of her. And then that's how.
And she wants to option
Minnie
it as
Driver
a
finds it on the
TV
plane.
movie. Yeah. But she met with us and she was like, I think she should be like an ex-child star who still feels like she's kind of a little girl, even though she's clearly an adult. So she started to embody sort of what she thought would be like these sort of infantilized little ways that this grown-up who was sort of famous as a kid actress.
And the last thing she did was.
What was the name of that show?
Oh, God,
Prairie?
Lockdown? No.
No. Sober Lockdown.
Yeah, Sober
Sober
Lockdown.
Celebrity Lockdown, something like that. That's her
Sober
last
Lockdown.
credit on IMDb. But she's famous for doing this sort of old prairie show, and she was 6. Anyway, she added a lot to sort of what she was going to be playing, and it helped us. And when we got there, it became very fun.
Yeah, we had a whole rigmarole for Conan. What we wanted to do, and we did do it. It's Strangers on a Train. We think it like that kind of thing where, you've done her a favor without her asking, and now she owes you. And he's like, right, yeah, no, that's good. Let's, no, that is good. And he was like, yeah, that's good. But let's have it be me, because we were going to have him be like an Irish cop or something. He was like, right. Let's just have it be me. And make fun of me. Like, she doesn't know who I am. It's like, easy, done. She would have no idea who you are because she's not young at heart, mind, spirit, nothing. That's great. She would have no idea who you are. Yeah, so, they've all made it just so much better.
Once you have Meryl Streep, I have to imagine, like, your wish list, has been topped. But who would you love to get on the show?
Well, we have people. We got Steve Carell, and that was like so thrilling. Like, woohoo! That was thrilling, and there are people who want to do it next time we shoot. So we're hoping we shoot more, and some really fun, fantastic people. I don't know. I don't like to say. It's so stupid, but I feel bad for someone we don't say. Because they're all actors,
I'm just pointing out Oprah's right across the street right now. So.
Oh, she is?
She is. What's she doing with her?
That's her office.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I hear
Does she
she
wanna do
wants
web
to die
therapy?
to do web therapy.
I just heard Susan Sarandon wanted to do web therapy, and I thought, that's...
She does?
Yeah. Did I
Well,
tell
you
you
didn't
that?
tell me that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Don't listen. I shouldn't tell you before I tell her. So just close your ears and pretend that...
Wouldn't that be fantastic?
That'd be so fun.
You and I having a moment right now versus Sarandon.
You start thinking like, oh, who could she be? And you start playing. But I also...
Jerome's mom.
Oh,
I didn't get to start thinking.
that's a good idea.
Patent pending.
All right.
What happened? Who?
Jerome's
mom.
Oh, my God.
That's a really good idea. All right, I need you to sign a waiver.
Yeah,
I know. It's like,
This
now
is
we
being
can't do
recorded.
that.
No, we can't do
Find
that.
my
Damn
first
it.
credit.
No,
No,
and
we
also,
can't let you have that.
iconic. No, a lot of the iconic. I also always want to work with a lot of the iconic improvisers that people, the people from Second City, and I'd love to. As time goes on, I would love to. Over the course of the seasons that we do, I'd love to work with Marty Short and Eugene Levy, and I mean, you would think
Yeah,
that
we
that
were
would be
close with them, too.
Yeah.
And schedule stuff. You know, it's not a priority for people. I don't know why.
We pay so much. No, we don't.
Well, the show looks great. Can you discuss the budget you had for those early webisodes? I mean, the production values are really nice.
They are. I mean, there's a lot of goodwill from really talented people who wanted to do this thing because it looked interesting and we had great people doing it.
But we were starting this right after the strike, and I have to say, we really wanted to do every single bit of this union. We did SAG, DGA, WGA, IATSE, and that was challenging at times.
SAG was really
cooperative, the
too.
best. And at the time, the notion of a new media contract was still really a question mark. It was. I remember our lawyers and SAG would talk on the phone for almost a year about like explaining what we were trying to do and figuring out what that meant and what were the parameters of that and what does it mean for the future. And a lot of it, you know, we weren't the only ones, but we were very much at the beginning of that. And then the show is still a new media show. Everybody is under a new media contract. We make the show for the web. Showtime licenses the content for their television show, but we are not paid license fees that would be normally paid to a television show. We don't have the budget to pay anybody, you know, a television budget. It's extremely low, and because it's a new media show and because the content appears online first, it can be licensed for television at a very, 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 very low rate, gap gift certificates, and we're lucky enough to be able to have it be on a network. The perception of the show, because of how it looks, is that it's a TV show, and you know, but it really, the budget's very low. And one thing that helps us is that we never move outside. We talked a lot about this conceptually. We never move outside the concept that the show exists within the desktop of Fiona Wallice. Mm-hmm. There's no objective camera. We tried it first season. First day, we tried an objective camera shooting Fiona.
Yeah, it's in the first season.
It's
as
weird.
If the first season exists behind me. But so there is something in there from the first season, I think. And we went,
That takes you right out.
We'll never do that again.
So then, like, the confines of it also kind of became liberating in a way. It's like we never really have to go outside that.
Yeah, I like rules.
But then it became fun as time went on and technology got more interesting to let people call their therapist from their iPhone or from their iPad and see what would that look like if you're moving around while you talk to her.
And conference Skype calls. You know, we have Mae Whitman and Darren Criss, who are a couple, long-distance lovers, who've never met. They've been together for 2 years. I mean, they've met,
been together.
and they've seen each other and had sex and everything, just not ever in the same room or state. And they pitched that idea. Those were the first people that pitched an idea, and we went, how can we not? That's fantastic.
Yeah. They're
So
friends,
really,
and
really good.
yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I love about this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of people do web series with the intention of getting a series. That was not your intention, and yet
No.
you got a series out of it.
Right.
When did Showtime come to you, and how did you react at first?
Thrilled. I mean, we were really thrilled. You know, I mean, and Gary Levine, you know, at Showtime, and they early on, you know, Bob Greenblatt and Gary Levine, and we'd go in to meet with them for other things, and they'd say, we're watching web therapy, and it's good. It's like, oh, great, thank you, hee hee. But, you know, Gary Levine said later, he said, you know, to me, this wasn't a web series, this was a TV show that happened to be on the web. Which is funny to hear because, I mean, I have to ask him next time I see him. You mean if we walked into your offices and pitched, okay, it's two people on computer screens, and they don't go anywhere, it's just two talking heads the whole time. No one. I mean, that's not a TV show. I mean, no one would buy that.
No.
Not really.
No,
So that's the good thing to me about the internet. When you've got an idea that it's never been done before and people can't see how that could possibly even halfway work, then that's what's fantastic about the web, that you can do it there and people can see.
But I also have to acknowledge that he was onto something also, because we come from a long form background. So we were shooting, you know, we were telling these stories with a particular tone and a point of view and a pace that didn't really match with what was on the web content. You know, most of the web content at the time that we were starting to do this was really fast, really sketchy, 3.5 minutes. The cat lands on the toilet seat, farts, it's hilarious, and you could watch it 100 times and it never stops getting funny. This, you had to like engage in who's that character and how is she gonna start to turn and see that there's a benefit there. And then we liked the idea of arcing out each character over 3 webisodes. And what we were doing was writing a television show. And so it's kind of ironic.
But it's also because back then, I mean, it was younger people that were getting their entertainment on the internet. So, and we knew this was a little out of sync with the internet audience. But not El Studio, because, you know, Lexus owners, especially at that time, were adults, you know, and mature people. And now over time, the audience is all over the place. I mean, it's definitely younger, and it's all over the place. So
I think my biggest question is, how many takes do you ruin by laughing? Or have you gotten to a place now? I think
I don't think it is ruining it, because we have, well, because I don't know how many times a take is ruined by laughing, because, you know, we each have a camera and we each have a mic, and you can separate those shots. And we frequently, I mean, with the Gina, you know, the Jennifer Elise Cox and Alan Cumming scene, you know, when he says, it's like, you know, putting a sausage up a close. I mean, I didn't stop laughing. So he had to steal, our editor had to steal shots of me just listening. Because what was really happening was me just, you can't see my face. It was like that. And how they just kept going as if, you know, I didn't exist.
I love it when you get going and you can't stop. I can't get Lisa to laugh like that. I'll occasionally try to plan something that will like maybe, and I'm usually the one who cracks up. I will crack up.
Now, we have one where he couldn't stop
I
laughing.
could not stop laughing.
And it doesn't ruin a take,
No.
like, well, I explained why.
Yeah.
But we have a phenomenal editor.
It is also a great system. We use a teleprompter, and normally when you're reading a teleprompter, it's all text. But a teleprompter is also great at showing you the image that's on the other set. So when we are looking into our cameras, we are seeing Lisa, the other actor sees Lisa.
And you can hear them, you're wearing an earwig.
So each
So
is his
it's all in
own
real
camera.
time.
It's all in real time. The improv is all happening in real time. And Don loves to just let it go. He loves to let a take go for 20 minutes. And you're left going off on a tangent and being stupid, being funny, laughing, stopping, starting again. We don't say cut as often as you would on a television show. And we just roll and
Right.
roll and roll.
But
and
after you've done the 20-minute thing twice, then Don just, you know, goes in more surgically and says, we need to get this. So, yeah.
Do you ever get a surprise? I was thinking even back to like the very first episodes with Tim Bagley. You know, there's a line where he says something that you supposedly said, not you, sorry. Where he's like, you know, I think she was put off when you said, "What do you think, fatty?" And you have a reaction for like a split second, and I was wondering if you were expecting that,
No.
or if you're completely caught off guard.
No, I
and you-
think I laughed.
Yeah.
I think we had to do that again because it was such a good line, and, you know, I had to not laugh hysterically.
Tim
It's
is
like
a
the funniest
genius.
thing I'd ever heard.
He comes up with the most outlandishly creative, out of left field. Like, well, that's the moment when you stuck gum. Did you put gum in my girlfriend's hair? And I remember being laughing so hard. Like, where did that come from? It wasn't in the outline. He is really good at listening really intensely and feeling every moment really authentically, but also coming up with story out of his head, out of left field, that completely surprises you.
Yeah.
He's great.
Because we do have so many actors here, and you two are obviously very successful actors as well, and it's a very tough business. I was wondering if you'd be willing to share with us your worst audition story? Spit take.
I'm thinking still. Worse.
This is
So
therapy.
I've had many really, 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 really bad ones. In New York, back in the days of theater, I had a lot of bad ones. I had one where I did not remember I was supposed to be singing. Let me just say that. I was supposed to be singing. Does that not give it away? I stood there, and the accompanist started playing, and my legs started shaking, and I did not remember any of the words, and I just started, you know, hoping that they're not noticing. In those moments, you just sort of think like, maybe this isn't really happening. I mean, maybe it isn't, and maybe it isn't. Or maybe it's not, they're not experiencing it in the same way that I'm experiencing it. Surely not. Surely this is just a moment where they just said, we'll be right back, and I'm like, no, it was horrifying, and I sort of spit out a couple of notes, and then I was like, thank you, and I left before I could make eye contact with anybody. Really bad.
I can't remember like an over-the-top embarrassing. I'm really good at blocking things out. So it may have happened, but it doesn't serve me to remember it. So I don't. But there were plenty of them where I felt like, well, that didn't go good. Oh my God, now it's going to happen. Plenty, most of them. But that's just the way it goes. And I also took a fantastic class, this teacher, Ian Tucker. It was all cold reading, and he only took 10 people per class, and his whole premise for the class was, you're all actors, so you can act. It doesn't matter. And, even bad actors work. So you should be able to work. And his whole point for this was, it's a business. You're not there to make friends. You don't have to be chirpy and happy in an audition. You go in, and he said the other thing I'm always confused about actors is, all you do is complain about how you never get to act. Well, an audition is a chance to act for 2 minutes, but it's a chance to act. You can't concentrate enough for 2 minutes. You got to be thinking about well, what are they thinking? Are they liking it? Do they like me? And I don't know. But I feel like actors now I watch auditions and they're so fearless and fantastic, and I don't think I would be able to do it now.
Yeah. I've experienced, being on the other side of it when I was producing my pilot in 2005, I must have seen 400 actors for many roles that were just then afterwards horribly offered by the network to different people. And I was like, why did you put me through? And I have to say, I'd say a good 80% of all 400 of those actors were really good. They were really good auditions. They came in confidently. They weren't necessarily right. But it was a huge aha for me, where I thought, this is amazing. Everyone's good, but not everyone's right. So if you come, it just changed my point of view a little bit about my own acting when I went into a room and felt so much like I need to be what they want. It's like you can never be what they want. You either are what they want or you aren't. And you go in there and listen and respond and be authentic and know the words. And I've gotten some really bad advice over the years. One teacher coach was always encouraging me to bring props, and lots of them. A terrible idea when they've been seeing 30 people and you come in, dragging a steamer trunk and a hat and an apple for your bit on whatever sitcom that's a scene that's this big. And yeah, there was one really embarrassing audition where I was so busy placing props, manipulating props, using props. They're like, "You need a hand there?" I was like, "No, I think I'm done."
So Web Therapy returns July 23rd to
Yeah.
Showtime. What can you hint that we're in store for? You've given us some clues, but
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, you saw Steve Carell. So he's in 2 others after that. Another, what? Yeah.
He's in
No,
4.
he's in 3 others.
3 others after
Boy,
that.
did he do us a favor. Wow, that's right, he did a lot. Chelsea Handler is in it, and Lily Tomlin is back, and you heard Meg Ryan is going to be in it. And
Lots of surprises. A lot of people are not who they think
Matt
they
LeBlanc.
are. And yeah, Matt
I know,
LeBlanc
I'm
is
slowly
great.
assembling the cast of Friends, season by season.
well, I cannot wait. I want to thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Congratulations on a very original show.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.